Hello everyone, this is AG47 Liberty, and tonight I'm going to start with something different. This is hopefully going to be a series of things under the title Bulloney. So here it goes, I wrote it down. This is my first installment of Bulloney. That's B-U-L-L-O-N-E-Y. Bulloney is where I reveal the lies government tells in order to cover up the truth behind its actions. Okay, the first lie I'm going to expose tonight is peak silver. Why? Because silver is near and dear to my heart. And I thought this would be a nice way to go into it. Anyway, peak silver and why it is just an excuse for the government to grab land and to go after our guns. The fraudsters want us to believe the price of silver is rising due to scarcity and not due to the fact that they are illegal expanding the money supply. Remember, expanding the money supply is inflation. Inflation is the devaluation of the dollar. When they devalue the dollar, they're actually stealing money out of your pocket, which means all the money you have in your pocket doesn't buy what it did before. Thus, it takes more of those dollars to buy goods and services. That is inflation. It's a tax. It's a tax on money that's already been taxed physically, and it's an invisible tax. So it's actually a double form. It's a form of double taxation. Anyway, so why the silver? So let's move on. The silver scarcity, we are led to believe, is caused by overconsumption. Thus, the earth is running out. Thus, silver is in a crisis, and it must be rationed. This silver is the reason government uses... This crisis is the reason government uses to grab land and to violate property rights. In reality, there is no crisis. It's really an artificially induced scarcity. The government creates this scarcity by restricting supply through regulation, taxation, and unconstitutional laws. Perhaps you've heard of their enforcers, the EPA, the BLM, and the Forestry Service, and the areas they control, such as national parks and monuments. Wherever it is not prohibited to develop these agencies, make it very cost prohibitive to do so. So in other words, if they don't outright restrict you from developing on the lands that they supposedly have jurisdiction over, then they will make it very expensive if you want to do it. They will make it very expensive in order to develop or even do any kind of research or exploration on that land. So as the government expands these national parks and monuments, then less land is available to develop, thus creating a scarcity. Why, you ask? Why are they developing this scarcity? The short answer is to secure assets in order to borrow against them. And this land has to hold some kind of valuable resource in order to be attractive to lenders. The borrower in this case is the U.S. government. The government needed a simple and effective way to borrow against its assets and to be able to make payments. Thus, the Federal Reserve was created to facilitate the loans and to find lenders. While the IRS was established in order to collect taxes to make the loan payments. So, the Federal Reserve began to issue notes, or IOUs, called the Federal Reserve Note. That's what this is. It's a Federal Reserve note. It's a note, not money. This is a debt instrument. It is an IOU. It is a claim. It is a claim against something. Okay, it's where the person or entity that accepts this has a call on whatever you create in the future. So, each Federal Reserve note is a promise to pay the lender. The more Federal Reserve note a lender acquires, the greater call or demand the lender has on the borrower's assets. The larger the debt becomes, the more demanding the lender becomes for the borrower to adopt the policies and values of the debt holder. That's right. Every time the U.S. government borrows Federal Reserve notes from the Fed, which is a private central bank, they are selling pieces of the U.S. under the guise of the land being used for national parks for preservation. In reality, it is just another mortgage asset being held for the lender. Now you know why Clinton created new preserves off the coast of Hawaii and in Utah, where there are large deposits of clean coal. That's why he did it, folks. It seemed irrational when he did it, but now you know why it's rational when you look at it in that way. Who's our largest debt holder? China. And China doesn't like it when the slaves, citizenry, borrowers, debtors have guns. That is why the U.S. is starting to resemble and copy China's policies and values. That is why the U.S. government is going after the guns, because our new masters don't want any resistance when they come to take possession of their property. I hope this has awakened you to the truth behind the lie called peak silver. Now, if you want to do more in-depth research or study into this matter, I obviously gave you a brief overview of what's actually going on. But if you want to get really in depth, there's a book out there. It's called Storm Over the Rangelands. Private Rights in Federal Lands. Or you can go to the video. It's called American Rancher Uncut Interview Part 1, Wayne Hage at Pine Creek, 2005. Wayne is spelled W-A-Y-N-E, and Hage is H-A-G-E. G is in goat, E is in Eric. Okay? This is actually, the book was written by him as well, and this is a real-life account of his struggle. He's a big rancher in central Nevada, or was, and it was his account on how he successfully fended off the feds from trying to take his land for whatever reason. I guess under his, the feds wanted all of his water rights, and he'll explain everything in the video and in the book. It is for anybody interested in private property rights and wants a much more in-depth understanding of private property rights, then this video and book is a must. Okay, thank you very much. I hope I enlightened you. And remember my motto, trust in God. Everyone else pays in silver.